The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Thursday, the 10th day of August, 2023. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House and Lindos. I'm Jamal Hartman. She's Sancha Durham, and Maya Palacio will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Sister Sancha, happy Thursday to you.
Happy Thursday. How are you?
I'm feeling better. I think I'm breathing a bit better,
Well, as soon as you came on, I'm like, oh, you look a lot better. I've been watching for the past few days and not been too great.
I mean, could have been the person opposite me, but I'm doing. I said that loud.
Oh, you're gonna get us in trouble. Stop.
Yeah, I'm like that. Love you all. But no, Maya ditched me on Tuesday. She left me at the police commissioner all by myself. But I managed not to get in trouble, by the way. And then Sherry showed up to work yesterday, and then Santa's just showing up today. So that's why I'm been sick, people, because everybody just left me hanging. And you know what you say.
I feel like I'm just showing up.
Yeah, they go.
One of those days, I don't know if you saw. I'm trying to get back on my fitness venture, and I'm exhausted. And today it was just like, oh, I'm really tired.
Well, I mean, that's part of the process now.
I know. I think you feel tired before you start feeling better, right?
Yeah, that's part of the process. So we're going to rock with you. We're going to work with you through it. Yeah.
So I didn't go this morning, so I need encouragement. I need like a little message around about 5 to be like, hey, hi, get out there and go for a run.
Okay. All right. You're going to hear it. So we're going to go on a run together. Once my, code's done, she'll be out there with me at 5 to the a.m.
Yes.
All right. Anything. I have wildlife out here. So, I don't think you have to worry about snakes and gators. And
it's really nice going for a run or walk, whatever you do in Bermuda in the morning.
Oh, yeah, in Bermuda.
Oh, my goodness. Yesterday. So I was walking and this flower I've never seen before, Jamal. It's called a midnight. If anyone's heard of it, a midnight bloom. It only blooms for one day.
Really?
And it was a row of them. And this man was out taking pictures. And two men gave me the history on it. It's like only blooms for one day. I think it blooms at night. And I got to see it. And he picked me one. And it was so beautiful.
Player, he picked the guy. Hey, look, he's trying to get a date. Here you go, madam. And she probably like, oh, thanks. Bye.
You know that line you guys give, that flower is as beautiful as you.
Okay, yeah, we do that. So hold on. You didn't get a picture of it? You didn't take a picture of it?
I did.
Okay.
I'll send it to you. It's so beautiful.
Send us a picture.
Those are the things and the reasons why I like getting up early and getting out. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna send it to you.
All right, we're going to see what this flower looks like. Greetings, everyone. Thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome Calvin Blankendal from the Bermuda Cricket Board on. We're going to discuss the state of cricket, all right? The Daily Play is a name that place. Hint, it's cricket related. And don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Real quickly, audience. So you know the town crier, Ed Cricket. Right? So Maya, Sancha, and I were having this argument backstage. Please help me, audience. What band does the town crier Ed Christopher sing in? I was trying to tell him he sings in a band. I've seen him at Happy
Sure.
across the
He
island. What is the band he sings in? Let us know, folks. I was just trying to figure that out. But
He does.
yeah, I remember being
I've seen him at Hamilton Princess recently.
Oh, so he's still doing it. Okay.
Yeah,
I just remember one day seeing him sing as the lead in this band, and I was like, that's the town crier? Like, he has another job? And I was shocked because I had always only seen him in his crier gear, right? I hadn't seen him in that. So, audience, if anyone out there knows, let us know what band he sings in. But anyway, let's get to today's question. So, Sancha, a lot's happened this week. I mean, cup match is over, and now it's all of a sudden back to business, right? And so earlier this week, Prestige, thank you, Angelina Cellini, Prestige. That's the band that Ed Christopher sings in, Prestige. So there we go, Sancha Maya. He does sing in a band, Prestige. Laverne Tucker, thank you, Prestige. So we got a question today. So Sancha, actually, Maya, can you help us out? Okay. Basically, what happened is Cole Simons was the leader of the opposition One Bermuda Alliance. He's resigned, right? And now, I guess, right now, the interim leader is going to be Jerian Richardson. But we want to know from the audience, what are your thoughts? Like, who should replace Cole Simons? Some people have said, oh, the OBA should just fold at this point and something else should be born. But I'm trying to think of who do they have. Susan Jackson, 1. Craig Kennaner, 2. Scott Pierman, 3. Jerian Richardson, 4. Who's the 5th person, anybody?
I'm looking it up.
Susan Jackson, Craig Kennaner, Scott Pierman, Jerian Richardson. Maya, who's the other person in the OBA?
Douglas Dakuda.
No, Michael Dunkley.
Dunkley.
Yeah, Douglas Dakuda is a senator. Michael Dunkley. So that said, question of the morning. Thank you, Charles and Karen Edwards Simmons. How could we forget former Premier Dunkley? All right. So that said, Cole Simons retired. Jerian Richardson is the interim. We want to know from the audience, who do you believe of those left should be the leader of the One Bermuda Alliance? So that's your question of the morning. Who do you believe should be the next opposition leader? I'll go first if you'd like, Sancha.
I don't have a very strong opinion on this, so yeah, I feel like you go first and let's see.
Okay, I think there's only one logical choice, and this is not to be disrespectful to the others, right? But if I'm a member of the One Bermuda Alliance, the only choice that I would go for is Susan Jackson.
Why?
I believe Susan Jackson has a pedigree that can match David Burt. I think it will be intelligence versus want to be intelligence, if that makes sense. I think it will be class personified against someone with a lack of business experience, someone who has had a career in the banking industry, someone who, in my opinion, we're living in the age of Black women, right? She is a Black woman. I know people may say, oh, well, we had a Black woman in Paula Cox and it didn't go too well. That's it depends on one's opinion. But I think that she does possess, she was on this show, she possesses something that I think is missing. And I think that is her engagement on Twitter as of late tells me that she is trying to understand the people. She is trying to be closer to the people. I don't know Jerian Richardson much, but what I will say is I just don't think David Burt and his administration will be able to go at a Susan Jackson as easy as they would a Jerian Richardson. I don't think that Susan Jackson needs to be petty to win over people. Unfortunately, Jerian Richardson shared something on social media recently with Horseshoe Bay, the restaurant being closed at a certain time of day, and I think it came across as petty. I know some people think you should fight fire with fire. I don't think that you need to always fight fire with fire. Sometimes you just need to say, you know what? Okay, that's where they're at, but this is what I want to do for the people. Sometimes the people should take precedence over politics. I mean, every time. But I feel like we need someone who's going to do that. Every time Miss Jackson speaks up, it's, you know, you feel the intellect, you feel the knowledge, right? You feel the that she cares about whatever it is she's speaking about. I think that the OBA should consider Susan Jackson as their leader. But I say this all the time. I'm speaking from the outside looking in. All what I do know is that Bermuda needs a strong opposition leader. With all due respect to Mr. Cole Simons, I said on this show earlier this week, and I've said it numerous times, I think that David Burt's administration will go down in history as the worst government Bermuda has seen since 1968. I do believe that Cole Simons runs very close to being one of the worst opposition leaders in the history of Bermuda's government. I think the gaffe that he made in saying bring the travel authorization back was probably the nail in the coffin for me. I think it showed a lack of understanding of the electorate, and it showed that he probably knew his time was up. Bermuda needs a strong opposition. They need to get this right. Susan Jackson would be my choice. Audience, who do you think should be the opposition leader? Or some people think the OBA should just fold. What are your thoughts? Dunstan says she doesn't have an ounce of arrogance. I think that's what's appealing. Now, keep in mind, Paula Cox, former premier, didn't have an ounce of arrogance, but people would say she didn't seem strong enough. Remember what she was up against. She was up against Dr. the Honorable Ewart Brown. He was a machine, right? But something about Susan Jackson, if you follow politics, just draws me very close to her. No, I believe the RG, I thought what I read is he's going to be the interim until I guess they have an election to say that he'll be the official, right? Charles H. Jefferson II says, I think the next leader of the opposition should be Curtis Dickinson. Interesting, it's time. Wow, Sancha, let's talk about that one. Let's talk about this one. Curtis
Why are you putting me on the spot?
Wow. I mean, Charles took one right there. He threw it out there. So, Curtis, I mean, people love you. It's not going to happen in the PLP.
So listen. You and I had this conversation the other day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm all about just speaking my mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was on this I love Curtis. I felt like Curtis was perfect. I spoke it on this show. It wasn't a secret. I was rooting for him a few months ago. But I feel like my view has shifted a little bit. I still love Curtis. I think that he has a wealth of knowledge. I think he's such an intelligent man.
Mm-hmm.
But I am very concerned when we talk about his strengths within politics. Because after the election within the party, I feel like Mr. Dickinson just kind of laid down. And I still needed to hear from him. I still needed to hear what's next. I feel as if he just kind of gave up, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's something going on behind the scenes that I don't know about. I hope so, but he's just going really, really quiet. And that makes me feel uncomfortable. I'm not as comfortable with him as I was previously.
Interesting. I mean, and I get you. I think it all started with deleting that video. I think, with all due respect to Mr. Dickinson, I think he means well. I think the people love him. But I think what you just explained is a situation where we may believe that he put party before people and has backed off a bit. I want to go back to Charles's comment because he made it clear. He's speaking about leader of the opposition, not the OBA. And folks, basically in that comment is saying the OBA should probably fold and something else should be reborn with some of the best people involved in politics, be it PLP or OBA. Let me just make it clear. This PLP isn't your grandmother's PLP.
Mhm.
I may have said this on the show the other day, but someone explained this, and it's really true. It wasn't until JFK, I believe, that Black people start following the Democratic Party. Blacks had always been Republican, right? Why am I saying this? Because many of you may not want to believe this, but things change. Don't believe that the parties don't change and become something else. If Black people can go from the Republicans to the Democrats, and that shift will happen again, I believe, what makes you think Black people can't go from the PLP to something else? Notice I didn't say UBP or OBA.
Mhm.
You cannot tie yourself to something and its historical legacy if that party in itself has not tied itself to that in its actions. Let's go back to the comments. Raymond Reyna says, I think party politics is killing Bermuda, in my opinion. Just put the right people in the right positions, meaning a banker knows finance and so on. Sam Cat Place says, Jerian is saucier than you think. I get what you're saying about Jackson as a woman. She's going to get scrutinized. Face it, it's a doggy dog world out there and lack of respect for women politicians. Charles H. Jefferson II says, I agree, Sancha, but now is the time for resurgence. Go ahead, Sancha.
I was just going to say, with Ms. Jackson, I agree with everything you said, but unfortunately, I do not think with her as a leader, she's going to win an election. I just think that's the space that we're in. And based on what we've been sold as Black Bermudians that we have to vote for our PLP party, I'm not quite sure that Ms. Jackson is the person that will make us shift that mindset. Although everything that you said, I do agree with, but it's more so the mindset of the people.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense to you?
Well, here's the thing. This is my, here we go. Here's my issue with what you just said. Elections are not won, they're lost. And so in 2012, the OBA didn't win that election. The PLP lost that. 2017, the PLP did not win that election. The OBA lost that. In 2020, you can argue the PLP won that election, but people did not vote. And OBA people almost felt like, let them have this. We still have the economy. So I hear you, but I don't think that the next election is going to come down to who the leader of the opposition is. I think it's going to come down to whether people turn out to vote for more of the same or not. And that's what happened in 2012. Look, remember what Curtis Dickinson said in that video that's now gone. He said, we're heading the same direction as 2012. Remember, he said, he did say that, right? He said, I don't know if we have that clip, but he said, we're heading in the same direction as 2012. That's a big statement from a PLP MP. The only people in denial about that are the same people who were in denial in 2012 when they thought they would never lose power. I don't know. Renee Simmons says, I really think Jerian Richardson will be their leader. I doubt very much if Curtis Dickinson would ride that tide. Curtis, it wasn't about OBA, Renee. It was about opposition, so creating a new party. But no, don't think so. But it wouldn't surprise me if he did and certainly understood. No, I don't think anyone's saying Curtis Dickinson to the OBA. I think just to be clear, it was about the OBA folding and a new group rising. Hadley and Stevenson Swan says it would be nice for the FDM to return. I don't think that's happening. Sorry.
I'm not sure. I mean, we say it all the time, and politics is it's not in a good space, right? So our talented people with talents that could probably do really, really well with no parts of it. And we're lacking talent in politics. That's our biggest problem. If you look at any party that's out there's not a single party. We're lacking talent.
I have to keep saying this because I really don't mean to be insulting by saying this, but we are lacking talent. And I feel like what we're left with in politics is people that can't find jobs. And I think that's dangerous. I think it's dangerous because when you have people that can't find jobs and then they get these jobs and they realize how much money they're making, it's almost like, I'm going to do everything in my power to hold on to this job because this is my lifeline. It creates a very bad problem for us. Teresa Anne Marie says, beyond all else, Cole doesn't have the required energy. Susan Jackson is great, but how willing to lead? I don't know. Jarian Richardson appears to show most interest. Curtis is devout PLP, but would he consider a new party? Again, it's not about the OBA. When it comes to Curtis Dickinson, it's about an opposition. If Jarian Richardson wants it and he believes he can go head to head with the PLP, so be it. I just feel Susan Jackson, if she was interested, probably would be a good person to go to at this point. And Jarian Richardson side. Again, this is not saying I don't like Jarian Richardson. I don't know him not to like him, and he hasn't done anything for me to dislike him. I'm basing my opinion on the outside looking in. All right, just want to say that because people are, NTS says, didn't we try another opposition already? Seems like OBA has more sustainability than the others, FDM and LP. Well, that depends how you look at opposition. Like, are we saying the OBA is the UBP? Finally admitting that, because then, okay, there's sustainability. I believe another opposition that is financially supported and backed can make it. I just don't think people have the interest in politics right now. I mean, people are so focused on trying to make a living in their careers. So we're left with the bunch that we have, right? Yeah, I think we're in a sad state politically. And that's not to say everyone in politics is in it for money or a career, but I mean, we don't have to look further than your premier. It's a career. I mean, if I had it my way, obviously it's the Westminster system. I'd ask for term limits, but that's just me. Charles H. Jefferson II says, if we're honest, it shouldn't be about the party either. It should be about Bermuda. Let's bring Maya in for the Daily Hour news break before Sancha gets in trouble. We are getting a signal.
Good morning. Good morning.
Greetings, Maya. How are you today?
Man, these type of conversations.
Oh, you were listening?
I was, tapped in.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Sancha was saying all this stuff about opposition leaders and stuff, and yeah. I mean, Maya, did you remember who the other 5 MPs in the OBA were?
No, I didn't.
So you had to Google as well, right?
Mm.
Okay, so it wasn't just Sancha and me. And I asked, and the reason I say that, folks, is the fact that we don't know.
I was going to say that's a problem within itself.
Yeah, that's concerning. And it's only 5 others. It's 6. It was 6 total with Cole Simons, but that's probably a problem in itself. We probably should know who they are, what roles they play. But yeah, I'm sure you don't want to talk about that. Oh, and you know what? Another question. I knew it wouldn't last, but remember the all-female party, the women that was starting that political party, right? Folks, it's not going to work. And I'm sitting with 2 women that I admire right now. An all-woman party will not work. It just won't. I can go down a list of reasons it won't. But
I'm not for it.
Everything you basically stand for, you're going against. Like, you can't talk about inclusion and you're talking about all women. It just don't work like that. I'm sorry. It won't. You won't win anything. Sympathy, but I don't know what happened to you. Let us know, because we'd like to hear from you. Try to get them on the show, Maya.
I tried to get an interview with them too.
What they tell you?
Never got a call back, but TNN had that exclusive, and then never heard much from after that.
I'll have to talk to Trevor, see what's the latest.
Yeah, maybe he'll know.
Right, what you got for us today?
All right. Good morning, everyone. This is the Daily Hour News Break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Starting out early with the news this morning, the Honorable Premier David Burt did pass on his condolences to MP Mr. Stanley Morton, who sadly passed away on the morning of August 9th, yesterday. He says Mr. Morton was a member of the class of 68, those men and women who helped launch Bermuda into universal adult suffrage. His sacrifice was even greater as he stood in Pembroke East Central with the late Dr. Barbara Ball for the Progressive Labour Party and was victorious. Stanley Morton was at the vanguard of the early days of the PLP, championing the causes of social justice and workers' rights that laid the foundation of today's Bermuda. It is a testament to his service that Mr. Morton offered himself as a candidate in Pembroke East Central in 9 general elections and was successful in 8 of them, becoming one of that group of the first PLP government MPs in 1998. As we remember this kind and committed public servant on behalf of the government and people of Bermuda, he expresses his sincere condolences to his wife, Mrs. Morton, and to his children and grandchildren as they mourn his loss. The community is truly grateful for his life's work and example.
Yeah, they don't make him like him anymore. Condolences to him, and hopefully when these things happen, people can remember the shoulders that they stand on and the work that they need to do.
Yeah. Furthermore, more than news, you may have heard about this, but applications for new improvement child daycare allowance is now available. And no, it is not available online. I think that's the biggest news. Persons of interest can apply for the child daycare allowance. You will have to pick up an application package from the Department of Financial Assistance on the first floor of the Global House during office hours. You may recall that the Minister Hayward announced in the House of Assembly advising that as part of the financial assistance reform, the child daycare allowance amendment regulations of 2023 will increase the value of awards and expand the pool of persons eligible for benefits by introducing a new tiered financial system for child daycare services with eligibility based on annual gross house incomes. And this will come into effect on October the 1st.
Okay, cool.
I need Bermuda government to be more streamlined. Why are we picking up paper applications?
See, I'm glad you said it because I didn't want. Okay.
Why? In 2023, we were trying to not use all this paper and everything's going digitally. What are we doing?
So I'm sorry, Maya. I just have to say this. Okay, I was trying not to. So at this point, I've lived half of my life in the United States, right? And I always grew up in Bermuda thinking we were so far advanced than other places. And maybe at the time we were, right? Maybe at the time we were. I renewed my license in Bermuda last month. And I realized that when I need to do stuff, in the US, everything is done via the internet. I don't have to go into location for anything at this point, right? And I wonder what the reasoning is in Bermuda, because I know we have the talent and the people to make things easier. I just wonder why we don't. I don't know. It's really a serious question.
It's probably too many, in their mind, too many loopholes and protocols and that sort of stuff. But if I can send my son to a summer day camp that is very basic and they can send me a form to fill in and pay, why am I doing this with Bermuda government?
Like, and Maya, not to prolong it, but I legit got so many documents I had to sign on Monday. And I'm here thinking, okay, I don't have a printer to send it back. They're like, no, it's all digital. And I'm just, in my head, I'm like, Jamel, you need to come up to the times too. But I'm still Bermudian.
Mm.
Yeah.
I know there was a report the other day that a couple of the systems in the government right now, like more than a couple, I think they mentioned about 5 that are currently down that they're trying to bring back up. That was probably a day or 2 ago. So I'm like, considering maybe that is a reason why they're saying to pick up paper applications, because some of the systems are just down at the moment. But that's just another cause and effect, right? Right. Moreover, in the news break this morning, the Department of Workforce Development celebrated the success of the 2023 Summer Employment Internship Programs with a reception of 183 participating students, which is way more than the previous year. They increased by 53 students. If you didn't know, the Department of Workforce Development Youth Employment Program allows students to apply academic knowledge and gain relevant work experience. The Summer Employment Program comprises of 10 weeks of work experience with a $600 weekly wage. And the summer internship program includes as well a $1,600 stipend at the end of a 4-week term. Employment opportunities are matched with students' areas of study and interest and career goals. One of the summer participants, Ko George, shared her experience by saying, "I've enjoyed working with my disciplines and in the process of gaining meaningful information about my disciplines. I can apply the experience from this opportunity while in school and would encourage others to apply to the program as well."
Congratulations to the students. I really do hope that they got as much out of it as possible, and hopefully there's opportunities in these spaces for them once they're done with their studies.
Yeah, so if you know a student that was in the program, congratulate them for sure. And definitely learn about their experience. It's interesting to know what people get from this.
Indeed.
Yeah. Next up on the news as well, we got the Bermuda Fire and Rescue Service sent 23 recruit firefighters to Newcastle for a foundational aircraft firefighting course. They said that this happened on Saturday, the 5th of August. The Bermuda Fire and Rescue Service sent the 23 recruits. They are going to Newcastle International Fire Training Academy in the UK, and over the next 6 weeks, the recruits will undergo intensive training that covers a wide range of essential firefighting techniques specific to aircraft incidents. This comprehensive course aims to equip them with the necessary expertise to respond effectively to emergencies involving aircrafts within our jurisdiction. So it's definitely comprises of what we need when it comes to Bermuda's airport at the moment, and needing those higher numbers of firefighters in order to keep our airport operational. So their courses are going to be very reflective of safety when it comes to aircrafts.
You said how many officers?
23 recruits.
That went overseas?
That went overseas.
I didn't know they had that many. All at once?
All at once, yes.
Who was keeping us safe?
That's what I'm thinking, because I'm like, didn't they have a shortage? Like, how they? But anyway.
And this is exactly in address to that, the fact that we did have such a huge shortage at one point. I think it was 19 that was necessary or needed, or that we had brought in, and now we got 23 of our own recruits. So that's a positive, truthfully. I have to confirm if all of them are local. I believe they are. Everyone here is local from Bermuda traveling away, but I do know one person on there, and I just want to give a big shout out to Nyan. So congratulations, because he's 19 at the moment. He's one of the recruits.
Okay, all right. Pick up yourself. What else you got for us?
Next up on the news, Department of Parks invites you to the second of the movies in the park. So this is something you could probably do with the whole family, coming up on August the 12th. So this Saturday at Chaplin Bay. And the first movie that they're going to play is Minions Rise of Gru. That starts at 8:30 p.m. And the second, if you haven't watched it, The Musical Magic of Sing 2, which is a movie that I actually really, really love. And if the weather is bad, they'll have a redate on August the 19th.
Okay. City of Hamilton Parks, BTA, everybody's giving you something to do. What else you got, man?
Lastly, I'm closing out with the weather this morning. Looking like sunny periods, but still 1 or 2 showers likely, and a chance of thunder. Really not having the best days. It's always iffy out there, so just be careful. And it's going to be a high of 86 degrees Fahrenheit today.
All righty. Thanks so much for that, my essential. How are we looking? What day of the year?
Day of the year. For all those Leos out there, it is World Lion Day. Visit a wildlife preservation, watch a nature reserve documentary, or simply read up online in books or learn more about one of nature's most majestic creatures, the lion. So
have you guys seen like a lion in like real life?
I've seen one, but I kind of want to go to like a safari and see. I've been to zoos, and it breaks my heart every time I see them at the zoo.
You've seen one, Maya?
I think I did when I was like in P6 and you took a trip to Atlanta or something. I vaguely remember it, but I just think it was like tired. And I felt sorry for him. Like, this isn't fair. But I love the meerkats.
Well, I went to one. I went to a safari in South Africa, and I saw them. I probably won't do it again because you're in an open truck, right? In a safari. And all the guy kept saying is, no one make any moves, be quiet. And if you drop something, it stays. And I'm just thinking to myself, what if someone on this truck is feeling suicidal? Like, I don't trust people like that. So I'm never doing it again. But I did get to see him. I'll share some pictures with you guys in the group later.
Me too.
I'm sorry, I'm dramatic.
Your thought process.
Yeah, man, I don't trust nobody like that. But They are beautiful, Sancho. They are some beautiful animals. I just don't need to be in their presence and their stuff anymore in my life. That's it.
That's how I feel about the water.
There you go. See, Maya and I, we here. We'll see you tomorrow.
I'm not, I'll let you live where you live. I respect you. I think it's awesome down there, but I ain't going.
Sharks, you don't see sharks walking down the sidewalk. We ain't got to swim in the ocean. There you go. We'll see you soon.
Shallow waters for me.
Cal Blankendal from the Bermuda Cricket Board coming up, folks. Do not go anywhere. Stick with us.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's, I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level.
Mom's celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field. Number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
Welcome back to the big show. Sancha Durham, I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. Folks, please don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right. Without further ado, let's give a warm welcome to Cal Blankendal from the Bermuda Cricket Board. We've had a lot of cricket debates lately, but unfortunately, that doesn't fall under his remit. Welcome, sir. How are you?
Good morning to you and Miss Durham. Good morning to Bermuda. Thanks for having the Bermuda Cricket Board on your show. And let's get to making some runs.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, let's just jump right into, just tell the audience a bit about your role with the Bermuda Cricket Board, what it is that you do.
Simply said, if everyone knows the great David Sabir Football, the General Secretary to Bermuda Football Association, I am his counterpart at the Bermuda Cricket Board, where I manage the administrative affairs and the organization on behalf of the executive.
All righty. Simply enough, that's the person to go to for the big decisions. We've had these debates about sport in general in Bermuda, and I'm happy to say that Jacana Edness will actually be back next week to just speak about the state of the sport in Bermuda. But how would you, as the executive director at the Bermuda Cricket Board, describe the current state of cricket in Bermuda?
Current state of cricket, we're on, I guess, a little bit of a cliff. Not too nervous, but if you're on a cliff, you want to make sure both hands and your feet are actually into the rock so that you don't fall backwards unless you're trying to dive off an empty house. And we all know how that goes, showing off. But cricket is in a decent space. I think the challenge is, to be frank, is that we have two sports that are very popular in Bermuda, football and cricket. One is a little bit more popular, one is a little bit less popular. It has been that for a while. And also internationally, you're able to see the game of football 24/7 played across multiple countries, with large salaries now being given by Saudi Arabia, even before that in the English Premier League. And the love of cricket is there, but also the way the world is going, if just to generalize, we're in a microwave world where people want to see things instantly. They want to change channels. They want to see many games being played at one time. And kids want to be able to participate in a sport and always be active. If you go to cricket, we're selling a sport where you have to be patient. If you're out, you have to wait until it's your turn. You can't play multiple games in a day, even if you're playing T20. Another team has to play, so it's not like 7-a-side. football, and the salary base, unless you're in the top echelon of cricket, if you're a cricketer, even at our professional level with Delray Rollins, you're not probably earning major income. So again, it's a challenge, but it's a game that still captivates the world. India and the Far East love it. North America, we love it. But again, in our side of the world, football is a dominant sport. And we just have to recognize that and keep working hard to be a very close second. And by going to a World Cup similar that was done in 2007, you do then surpass it, but it has to be maintained. And that's across all levels of sponsorship, school participation, club interest, the general public outside of cup match in Eastern County and Western County to an extent. If you go to regular league games, that mirrors the interest of what the country feels for cricket across the board.
All right. Audience, if you have any questions or comments for Mr. Blankendal, please send them through. We'll do our best to get through as many as possible. We just had cup match, which obviously doesn't fall under Bermuda Cricket Board, nor does the Eastern County, but cup match is open cricket. There have been a lot of comments. I'm sure you read some of them where people have said the standard of cricket has dropped due to things like T20 and less open cricket. What do you say to that as the executive director?
First, I think there's a lot of nostalgia about cricket. So, I'm reminded daily by various persons that those who really love cricket are what we will call our elder population. And elder, I'm 50 now, so I can't include myself in that. I have to go 65 plus so that I still remain young. And they've seen a form of cricket from 5-day tests, 4-day tests, 2-day tests to our traditional cup match, which is a 2-day series. And of course, the county games, which is a form of open cricket to a certain extent. Then all of a sudden you get Stanford, who's trying to save the game of cricket. The West Indies recognized that they were also falling behind compared to the interests of football across the globe. And you get T20, which is like a 3v3 basketball. And the purists are going to say this is not cricket. But if you look at the opportunities for young people to become a professional cricketer and for clubs and even national cricket bodies such as South Africa to sustain themselves, they're opting out of the long form of cricket and playing the short form, because that's where the revenue stream is. That's where the opportunities is for corporate marketing and sponsorship. That's where the young people want to be. They want to play cricket for 2 or 3 hours, leave and do something else instead of a full day. They're not interested in being on the field for 3 hours a day. And that's the way the world is going. So similar to Bermuda being an island, and I think you said it just now, we believe we're very progressive, but we're actually behind the 8 ball. And by the time we catch on, the rest of the world has moved on. So let's go back to, if I say, Bermuda used to be the best in football in the North American region. Canada, USA, we used to beat everybody. That's not the case anymore because they are professional leagues. So before, that wasn't football, but now that they're beating us, we see that we're not that good, but actually they just surpassed us. We used to beat everybody in cricket in our area as well, but they weren't playing cricket. Now the United States and Canada are taking cricket much more seriously with professional leagues. So now it's like, we're not good. No, they just have surpassed us. So we're probably at the same level, but people have passed us by. So we can't stay still, and we have to keep up with the rest of the world.
It's interesting. I find it very interesting because I'm going to be honest. Open cricket was becoming boring to a lot of people, right? Younger people. Let's be honest. The attention spans of children have changed, right? I remember when Alan Stanford, brought its T20. And it brought some excitement across the region. Bermuda was involved. It was a quicker, more interesting form of cricket. But we know that as a country, we don't want to let go. There are still people now, and I think it's because the team didn't win, claiming that, the open form of cricket in Bermuda, we need a change cup match or the county, like we should get results. Do you believe, simple yes or no, do you believe that, again, these don't fall under your remit, but do you believe that cup match and county will change anytime soon in terms of the format?
I can't say yes or no, because I'm going to have to give you at least a 1-minute answer. So me personally, and Jamal, let's go. We're from a different sport, but we love cup match. I'm from St. George's as well, simple. So, but again, the biggest sport in the world, in the country, and there's not a real outright winner at the end. Look at it from a marketing aspect, and people may not appreciate it. Look at it from an engagement with spectators, like who is really the winner, right? It's a cultural event that recognizes the emancipation of slavery, but there's also a sporting element that's probably just as important these days. You leave the field, you win, but you didn't really win. In any other sport, technically, the largest closing event of the calendar, there's a winner. So I'll leave it there because it's not for me to decide at the cricket board, but for the growth of the game and everything, and a new generation that's coming up and saying, I went, but it wasn't really a win. Maybe there should be an outright winner, but only the clubs and their officials can decide for themselves. But that's a personal comment from me as a sports enthusiast.
He said what he said. Let's move on. St. George's coach Clay Smith shared concerns earlier this year regarding the scheduling and how it had basically gave his team a lack of proper preparation and trials leading up to cup match. The knockout format meant certain teams weren't playing on certain weekends. How is the Bermuda Cricket Board going to be addressing this going forward?
First of all, I want to thank Mr. Smith and anyone else for their review, because it does take feedback once we try new initiatives to see what went right, what went wrong. I'll piggyback a little bit. Bermuda's annual calendar is not based on what we do domestically, how strange it may seem. It's based on which competitions we have to enter internationally under the ICC's calendar and agenda. So we get 50% of our funding, or 45% of our funding comes from the ICC. So we have to be prepared to play in those tournaments to maintain our rankings and eligibility. So some seasons we'll start with 50 overs because there's a 50 over competition early in the year or later in the year. And sometimes it's T20 is the competition we start with first because there's a T20 tournament coming up. This year, the big picture is Bermuda to qualify for the World Cup from the Bermuda Cricket Board's perspective. So no matter cup match, Eastern Country may sound hard, there is no bigger event that Bermuda can participate in 2024 next year than by qualifying for the 2024 World Cup on home soil in this September, October this year. So if we play open cricket or we play 50 over cricket, and that's the main focus because we want to see a good cup match, I recognize that. But on the world stage, which is actually funding the BCB's cricket for 50%, T20 is the big show. And if we go to the World Cup, that opens up new markets, it attracts young people, the domestic corporate entities, government, even you will have us on the show more often. Bermuda will get free marketing through the PTA and everything else, ESPN, Crick Info. So we have to have a big picture view and not a domestic view, which is very important from the emancipation of slavery and all others. We'll never give that up. I advocate for that. From a global aspect and to keep the game alive, this T20 run is about 75% where we're putting our dollars into. Coming first will be magnificent. Coming second will be disappointed. But there's a wave of people that will come to the tournament in September. Sponsors are coming on board, and they would not do that if we had a traditional league format. And I can say they would not do that because they haven't done that for the last 15 years. So this T20 is bringing some new eyes to the game.
Indeed. Real quickly, Sancho, before you jump in, I just want to go to this question from Stephen Otterbridge. He's asking, how do we improve the state of cricket in Bermuda?
Improving the state of cricket is simple. Mr. Stephen Otterbridge is one of the more experienced persons on and off the field and also has a great mind. We all need to come together. And Jamal, I just listened to your political views on the state of Bermuda. The issue we have in Bermuda, and cricket is tied directly into that, if we disagree, we don't want to speak to each other anymore because we think we're against each other. I would rather that you disagree with me and that we come back to the table and together we solve the problem, because if 50% goes this way and 50% goes that way on a small island, it's only going to be butting heads. So a person like Mr. Stephen Otterbridge, we have to come together. It's easy for me to say we have to do A, B, C, and D, but we all have to get into the room and sign off and say, you know what, this is a platform we're going to follow for the next 3 to 4 or 5 years. There are people in the room, we don't all agree about it, but 75% says this is what we're going to try, and that's the state of cricket. We have a strategic plan. We're following it now in year 2. We're completing about 85 to 95% of what we have agreed to as a governing body. But the number one thing, I think, and Mr. Otterbridge is online, it's not the Bermuda Cricket Board who's a leader from administration and scheduling and ICC. The clubs have to really take ownership and go back into the communities, grab the kids out of the classroom or sports fields, talk to the PE teacher. It has to start at the grassroots level to say, where do we have people playing cricket 15 years from now? The 7-year-olds become 20 years or 22. Are they playing cricket? Mr. Otterbridge is still playing, but 5 years from now, he's not going to be playing. Is there someone behind him that can actually show passion, interest, but also make the game grow by getting their family involved. But it starts at the club level. North Village, club level. Denny Town club level does football. Denny Town has a great football program, smaller cricket program. Why? And I had a discussion last night. We need to do the same for cricket, what we do for football, not knock off after football season and just say, if you want to play cricket, it's fine. No, same as football. Grab the kids, grab the coaches, and promote it within the club. The BCB has to put on the schedule, provide assistance with equipment and others, but it starts at the club level. The clubs are the ones that are the stakeholders of their community. I want to go back to Mr. Clay Smith because I didn't answer your question. So the schedule comes out every season, and we try to start on time, and sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't happen. Similar to football, there are schedule changes. There are open dates which seems they are available for other groups to use, even the BCB. So there was a date that was identified that seemed like it was a good date to have trial matches, etc. But at the end, due to the rain and other unforeseen circumstances, we had to reschedule. Football's easier because you can play in the night, you can play multiple games during the week. In cricket, if you're not playing on a Saturday or Sunday, the next available date becomes important. Yes, it was an inconvenience for both the Bermuda Cricket Board and cup match teams, but it's not that something we do on purpose. It's just also this year has been a significant amount of rain. But on the other side, there are two teams. So I want to go back to you, Mr. Hart. One team's been dominant for 10 plus years. Our team hasn't. Is that because of the Bermuda Cricket Board schedule? Is because the other team has a better structure of players? Or is it because the format is not good? I don't have that answer. But if one team's winning and one team's not, and we're in the middle, it just can't be the person in the middle. So, I don't know what your feeling is on that. You're quiet? You're quiet?
I actually, when it came to that, obviously we had a lot of weather going on in May and June. So I immediately thought that. At the end of the day, your point's well taken. I don't think that the cricket board's here to prepare cricket for cup match when it doesn't fall under your remit. I think you explained it pretty well that you're working with the international sporting bodies and that's what you're preparing for. But Sancho, before you jump in, I just want to touch on the state of cricket. Growing up, it's like you play at football this time of year and then the other time of year you play at cricket. Why do you think that people are less interested? Because I know you said just now, it's like we shouldn't knock off after football season and just call it a day, but the world's changed, right? People have evolved, and I'm going to use Sancho. Some people just need a break. So for them, it's like once football season stops, they need this break. I mean, that's the mindset, it seems, that's kicking in. Not Sancho, of course. She will get into her stuff. But I'm just like, how do you keep people going in the current state to keep them interested, to keep their children wanting to play? I remember when I was young, I went to cricket clinic, right? Western Stars. They had them at a few different clubs. Are those still taking place? And then obviously we have someone speaking about the schools as well.
All right. So from the Bermuda, you said two good things. One, going back to Mr. Clay Smith first, I want to go back to that schedule. The same thing as I said, we have to come into the room. We do have a meeting with clubs and we discuss the local league schedule, but again, we have to probably go down a little bit lower and say, hey, any activity in cricket that's going to take place, we need to put that in the schedule. Whether a club's having a fun event on a Saturday, whether they're having trials, everything in the schedule so that we know even if that date's not being used, it's already blocked out. So that's a partnership that we're going to create, and that's an improvement that's going to happen as of next season. The other side is on the youth cricket side. I've making some recommendations now is that if I'm a young person in Bermuda in the summer, the opportunity for me to play sports is football and cricket because football doesn't stop. The under 15s are now in Curacao. For cricket, it's played for 4 or 5 weeks, and then the league stops for most of the under 13, under 15. So the suggestion that's being made is we now need to create travel teams to give those young persons that are playing for 4 or 5 weeks the opportunity to travel overseas like football clubs do and the BFA does with the more advanced players. And we also need to probably decentralize where the Bermuda Cricket Board has a cricket camp every year for 3 to 4 weeks, but we also need to make sure that there's a camp in Somerset, there's a camp in St. George's, which Mr. Clay Smith doing. There's a camp somewhere else, so not everyone has to come to their location. They can play in their parish area, and then those kids could be like, after the clinic, Mom, I want to sign up for St. George's Natural. I still want to sign up this season. So we have to keep it a little bit more regional instead of forcing everybody to come together, because again, the clubs are the guardians of cricket. We have to keep our clubs healthy in cricket, because without club players and club teams, there's no club league and there's no BCB. So as much as I'm speaking as far as the BCB, I'm really, as you know, Jamal, a club person from Western Star Sports Club. And then Dennytown is secondary. Western Star Sports Club is the cricket side, and that needs to be just as healthy as the football side, not for the club itself, but for the community. If there's no cricket in the summer at Western Stars, that club space is dormant. What happens? No revenue, no activity, no maintenance. The grass is high because there's need to cut it. So for Bermuda's social environment, both sports and other sports have to be made available all year round with the same attention.
Okay, so let's talk discipline. Cricket is known as a gentleman's game. However, we've seen a lot go on recently on our biggest stage. How is discipline being addressed?
So discipline is addressed by the disciplinary committee, no matter which organization is hosting the event. Bermuda Cricket Board proper, Eastern County, Western County, Central County. So the umpires will see something on the field, they write a report, it's submitted to the organizing body, they will hand it over to the disciplinary chair, they would have a meeting on that, they will provide the sanction if necessary. The player or the club has the right to appeal. I want to piggyback on that, because that's like anything in common society. You do something wrong, the police arrest you, you go to court, the prosecution decides if they're going to prosecute the defense lawyer, etc. The bigger issue we have, not only in Bermuda, globally, society's standards and norms are dropping. So if society's standards and norms are dropping of what's acceptable, the way we interact with each other, how we resolve issues, how we even think about someone that doesn't have the same thought process as you. We've gone from having dialogue to immediately in someone's face, kicking someone, throwing a bottle, throwing glasses, and that is not going to stop because that's a cricket game. Society has moved away from you stood on my foot, sorry, I'll move past you, I didn't see you, to you stood on my shoe, bam, in your face. So a cricketer is a human being, so we can't think that the people that are playing cricket are not those that are not in society. They should have a higher standard, but otherwise no crime would happen. The person that sits in this seat may go outside and just knock someone down because they're upset because they had a disagreement with someone in the office. Society's standards is a reflection in the sporting world, and football is no different. Cricket is no different. Track and field is no different. NBA basketball, the most successful multimillionaires are doing things where you're saying, why are you walking around with a gun? Why are you waving a gun on YouTube? Because society's norms and standards have dropped. So we can't take the blame for it, but when something happens, we do sanction the individual, but that is post. We do have meetings before about conduct and stuff, but human beings are the most difficult people to control. I can tell you, I respect you, Ms. Durham. You're a fantastic person. And the next time I see you in public, one-on-one, I may say something that's derogatory. So again, it's a difficult situation, but when something happens, we do have to take action. The BCB does that, and the other entities do that as well. But the incident's already happened. So all you remember on Cup Match or any other incident is what you've seen, and we forget about the sanction that comes after us, because Cup Match, most people pay attention for 2 days, and after that, they're not really into cricket. It's a social fun event, emancipation with a cricket game, but 20,000 people over Cup Match equals 600 people to go to cricket on the weekend. Yeah. It's not even 10% of that. So the interest is there for fun, but not really for the sport, to be honest.
I definitely will highlight this, that what you see as you just initiated is a reflection of society. It belongs to the behavior belongs to no one organization, sport, or club. So I think the point is we have to address these on a society level, and if we want to see the change in a sport space. Go ahead, Sam, sorry.
So I know we've touched on this a lot previously, but my son Maddox, he's smart and just began playing cricket for Somerset. However, we got a few weeks into the game, and his thing was like, Mommy, he didn't feel as if it was as structured and as serious as football. And I guess because he's going into sport at a young age, he's like, he wants to be competitive, right? So when you show up at certain games, if one club doesn't have enough players, we're given, kids from this club so that they can play a game. How are we working on actually getting kids out into the clubs to play cricket so that this doesn't happen? And it's like just as supported as football.
Good question. So first, I need to understand, how old is your son?
7. So he's under 8.
7. So under 8, similar to BFA, under 7, football is non-competitive. Yes, football is a little bit more structured because those teams come organized to play in the morning. They've been doing it for quite some time. Under 8 cricket is what we will call our intro into cricket. So it's really about having fun, not really worrying about how they're throwing the ball, how they're holding the bat, just giving them the activity. The issue that we're having, and that's of course cricket, and Bermuda Cricket Board is part of that, from a club side and a community side, is having enough players at that club to actually make themselves available on the Saturday mornings post end of school time or vacation time to play the game. So cricket is played from April to about July for the under 8s. It's a time where people have graduation. It's a time where people go away after schools at that level. People travel off the island for summer, and for individuals to have enough, clubs to have enough people to play the game. That's one. We also have to think about cricket differently, and that's where our coaches come in. Most of our coaches have been received a certification maybe 15 years ago. T20 was just at the forefront of that. So most of our older coaches are teaching cricket for 50 over cricket. Stand still, hold the bat, don't move, lift your eye. A 7-year-old is not going to stand still for 10 minutes anymore. It was difficult for me and Jamal, and I know my nephew that's 7 is not going to do that. So we have to teach him in a fun way, which is almost non-traditional cricket. Just run around. It's almost like a football game. Draw a ball, try to hit it. More fun and less instructions. And then we'll get more people to bring their kids. Because if your son comes to 1 or 2 training sessions and is standing still for 20 minutes because the coach is talking to him and say, you have to wait for your turn. Mama, I don't want to do this. I want to go somewhere where I can run around football. Even if I'm looking up at the butterflies, I'm actively participating. So it's a mindset we have to change. And there is new coaching manuals coming out, but our coaches also have to be willing to learn the new way of coaching, because the old way of coaching is not attracting young people like your son, and it's not going to keep them engaged. And that's just, to be honest. And we have to be more professional from PCB and a club side to say, this is the time, this is the game. But it's a change. Cricket is almost a game where I'm having challenges now. People want to come, they don't want to pay Jamal. So if you go to a game at North Village, that game's 1 o'clock, Village against PHC. The second game is Dandytown against Boulevard. You come to St. John's, you're paying another $10. People want to go to every cricket game on a Saturday and Sunday, unless it's Eastern County or Cup match, and say, why are you charging? So how is a club going to be able to attract people to take care of equipment, coaches, maintain the facility? So it's something about cricket. I don't know if it's historical that it's a game for everyone, but it shouldn't attach a fee to it or a course unless it's Cup match or Eastern County. But you can't run a business like that for half a year.
Tell me about it.
So it's something about cricket. It's something about cricket which I'm still understanding. But
I'm not quite sure it's just cricket. I mean, I talk about it all the time, Jamal. We know the clubs need to run as a business, and people need to understand that although it's your community club, we need to get to a space whereas it's our safe space, but we also need to benefit from it and run it as a legit business.
Well, the truth is it takes money to operate anything in this world. Yeah. So I think members and fans and people in the community need to understand that $2 does not go directly into a president's pocket. There are groundsmen. When you look at cricket, for instance, I'm pretty sure the groundsman takes a lot more time out there doing the wicket and so on. It's a lot that goes into it. You're talking about the facilities and the management. So my hope is that people can kind of understand a bit more about what goes into it. But Cal, I just want to go back to Sancha's question just now, because when I was growing up, there were so many more players playing cricket. There seems to be less players now. What are we doing to get more into that space? You mentioned, summertime's a time when parents travel, families travel, right? Graduations and so on. But how can we get more people involved at that age? And I want to tie it to Richard Scott, President of Somerset's question. Is cricket still a main focus in the Bermuda public school system?
Okay. Two good things. And good morning to my good friend Richard and great question, Jamal. So, ICC has recognized as the International Cricket Council, the counterpart to FIFA, that cricket has to change. So they have put out Creo Cricket, which is CRIIIO, and it's actually what you said, Jamal. But we were more advanced back then. Backyard cricket. You can play cricket with a tape ball, a tennis racket. They have put out that you can play cricket any way you want without being traditional. So that's what we have to do. We have to get our young people just to play any type of cricket, whatever they want to call cricket. That's cricket. Don't have them in front of stumps, trying to make them build to the center, 3 fingers around the ball. Just let them play and have fun. That's the first part. So they actually get a cricket concept in the mind. The second part is there's cricket in schools, but is it a main focus? We're so focused on the academics of the end of year school results, which is very important, that at that time, people don't want the kids to go out of school to play another team because it's affecting maybe their last exam preparation class, and that's in private and public school. And also the heat. People are saying it's too hot to have the young people out playing cricket anymore. So if it's not at the bottom of the Christmas tree, how are you going to put, the piece at the top? The other part we have to recognize is that I think we have to become a little bit smaller in cricket. And I was thinking about this coming in this morning, Jamal. West Pembroke used to go and could have been playing Somerset Primary in cricket. No one worried if you traveled by bus for an hour and a half by yourself. The PE teacher met you at the primary school. So many things going in Bermuda. Maybe we just have to be regional. So West Pembroke plays Northlands, Victor Scott, and Prospect Ernie. Somerset Ernie plays theirs team and then come together. They play each other twice, but we have to play more cricket. Not more cricket in the schools, more matches in schools. Because once you play in the school, you automatically then filter to a club. We all play football for our school first, probably before we went to the club. We just wanted to play after school, so the club was the avenue. All right. But Mr. Arnold Mendes, our president, is head of physical education. Cricket is played. There's a lot of festival cricket played, like 1 or 2 day events, but we need more mini league competitions to add on to that to make it a little bit more vibrant.
Got you. And I want to go on to right now we have the current under 19. Is it the under 19 team away in Canada? What are they doing, and what are your hopes for this squad?
The under 19 is playing the under 19 World Cup qualifiers every other year. There was a break during the pandemic in 2019, so we didn't get a chance to play, or 2021, I mean. So this is the first time in 4 years that they're playing. It's a very simple format, similar to the one we're going to have in Bermuda. It's 4 teams, and the winner goes directly to the under 19 World Cup. I believe Stephen Otterbridge was part of that one and only successful team in 2008, along with Chris Douglas and others that actually made it to the World Cup. So that's where we're trying to go. That will give us a boost. Our 2 main competitors in the region in both the male, senior, and under 19s are USA and Canada. Only 1 team gets to qualify. They are very powerful teams. Our youth program is not as robust as it should be in a league, but our young players play for various club work, Wackman's Club, Western Stars, etc., but not as an under 19 league. And so we use it to try to qualify, but also as a development model that if we can get 2 or 3 out of this tournament to join the senior men's national team, that every year you have 2 or 3 players that actually grandfather out. That's what it is. But when we go to being a qualified, this year the team is very young. It's like more under 16 teams, so they have another window to play again. So we're using this as a development window to actually 2 years from now be very competitive. But in the end, you start the game with the intent to win, and our intent is to qualify for the World Cup.
All right. Speak to us. There's a lot going on later this year as far as tournaments. Bermuda's hosting some things. Let us know what's going on.
Yeah, so the format this year is T20 across the board. The biggest format in cricket outside of Test match cricket for India, Australia, England, and maybe Pakistan. Bermuda's going to be playing in the Bermuda Premier League. That is a franchise event for those who love the Indian Premier League and the Caribbean Premier League. We have started our Bermuda Premier League, which will see Barbados come to the island, a academy from Antigua, the Bermuda national team, and the Bermuda Second 11. So more players get an opportunity for a final selection for the national qualifiers. They're going to be playing from September the 6th to the 10th at White Hill. And that is a preparation tournament, a last-minute preparation at the highest possible level we can on island to get our team ready for the ICC Men's T20 World Cup qualifiers. After that, the final team selected, and then we'll play against Canada, Cayman Islands, Panama, and Bermuda, here with Bermuda on island from September 30th to October 7th, a double round robin at White Hill and National Sports Center. And like this, the winner goes to the World Cup, and that again would change cricket in Bermuda for the next 4 or 5 years. It happened in 2007. We were up on the top of the cliff, but after that, we continuously went down, down, down. We had a little bit coming up. I want to thank the great Mr. Herbie Bascom in 2019. We came second in Bermuda. We went overseas and didn't have success after that, but that gave a little bit of lift. The pandemic came. Cricket was on the back burner. You couldn't move around. School cricket as well. Club cricket for youth. There was no youth activity interaction in sports. But now we're slowly going up. And after the World Cup qualifiers, we're going to be playing in Malaysia in February, and for the traditionalists, 50 over cricket. So we play in 2 formats of cricket with about 25 to 30 international players. Every time they travel overseas for 3 weeks, they have to get off from their employer. They have to leave their family. We have to finance the team. And we're competing against the best of the world. When we play, we're playing against Malaysia. We're playing against Nepal. We're playing against Italy. Now, people say Italy. You're not playing against the blue-eyed Italian. You're playing against Italians that are from Sri Lanka, Pakistan, India, Nepal, that have migrated to those countries, have a more superior cricket background and tradition than Bermuda, and they're happy to be able to play cricket for their second country because they can't make their first team. So when we play cricket internationally, we are really playing at the highest level. And just because it says Germany doesn't mean you're going to see a blue-eyed German. You're probably going to see someone from Pakistan or India that's migrated to those countries. So it's a challenge for us. But 60,000 people, Jamal, 60,000 people. You don't have 60,000 people you live in Florida, Jamal, or Atlanta?
Yeah, Florida.
You don't have 60,000 people in a community saying that community is providing the national team players for the Olympic basketball team. They are from 330 million. So we're really punching far above our weight. So I think we should actually be less critical of ourselves, hold ourselves accountable. And anytime we have success, look in the mirror and say, how do we with 60,000 people, which only 30,000 people qualified, because 60,000 people in Bermuda, 30,000 Bermudians. Out of 30,000 Bermudians, we have a certain amount of males. Out of those males, we only have 240 males playing cricket at the adult level. Out of that 240, we only have probably 20 elite cricketers. Out of the 20 elite, we only have 11 that are probably really good to start to play against the best in the world. Out of that 11, we only have 1 pro, Mr. Delray Rollins. So we are amazing as a country. So less critical, more accountability, but let's celebrate even the smallest amount of success. The fact we have cup match, the fact we have Eastern County, Western County, Central County, the fact that the ICC selected Bermuda to have a tournament, the fact we can put on our own CPL in a smaller level. This is all Bermuda's brains and intellect, hard-earned work, and professionalism. So sometimes we're always looking to complain. Let's celebrate the fact that you're not ESPN, Jamal, but you are putting on a show every day and highlighting issues locally and internationally. Let's celebrate you. And let's not say it's not Stephen A. Smith. This is Jamal Hartman. Stephen A. Smith doesn't care about Bermuda. Jamal does. So let's celebrate as a people. Come out, pay your money. I'm going to be honest, because to put on an event is not a secret. The ICC, as you know, Jamal, they give you, even the Commonwealth Games, a big issue. So you get about 50% to host an event. You try to get 25% from your sponsors that cover 75%, and the rest is gate receipts. So we need the people of Bermuda to come and celebrate and pay their dues or fees to celebrate their own, and that allows the players to play at home, and you can see your own people. Yeah, and they can feel the pride, and you don't have to travel and leave your country to go watch your team play overseas. We have the advantage; everyone can play in Bermuda because they're Bermudians. We can have home advantage. But it's only him advantage if everybody comes and supports us. And that's dollars and cents, not just noise.
Real quickly before we let you go, how can people learn more and support if they'd like?
Learn more. Bermuda has a great website, the Cricket Board, cricket. No, you're done it, Jamal. Bermuda.com. That's it. And then we're also on Track, a local online ticketing agency. We're all using trickle-down economy. The event coming to Bermuda, they can purchase their tickets there. There are spot sales on sale, so we're mirroring Eastern County. We have to find new revenue streams to fund the game. And we also want to bring in media like yourself, Jamal. We have some ideas, so we're going to talk about that online. And this is not Bermuda Cricket Board's event. This is Bermuda's event. So we're having hotel space in the off season, taxis, minibus, caterers, laundry, entertainment. The clubs are making some money, ticketing agencies, government's getting tax revenue, the airport, everybody's winning. But in the end, I'm going to be honest, cricket has to win as well. So there has to be some revenue that comes directly into this office so that we can fund our teams and programs.
Absolutely. Kelvin Blankendal, let's keep in touch. Let's keep the momentum going and the energy up. A lot was said this morning. I really hope that it struck the chords and conscience of the people and the hearts because, as George Butterfield says, love this conversation. It's more than just about cricket. Hey,
Jamal, you disappointed me, though.
Why is that?
You know what? What a rivalry. I can say this now. Dennytown, no village. You gotta come. You gotta come next time, man.
Hey, bro. You know, I've been told for the last 3 weeks about my bias. Just yesterday, Sancho was yelling at me in comments about Dion Stavo and giving Delray. You know, I'm trying to be. I'm trying this non-biased thing, Cal. I'm trying to be nice on this show, but
Jamal, can you help me? And this is to Bermuda. I'm not putting nobody on this spot.
Okay.
One of Bermuda's best cricketers is Dion Stavo.
Absolutely.
He's done a great job for Bermuda. I respect every and anybody that's giving up their free time to play for the club or country because you're really not compensated to the value where you're giving up time from work, family. But if anybody can reach Mr. Stavo, we see how great he is. If we want to qualify for this World Cup, we only have a few players that actually can play on the international stage. He would be a great addition. I don't pick the team, but in my opinion, making himself available would be great. So if you can speak to him and say, one more time, Mr. Stavo, one more time. One more time. And I would do this to Mr. Stavo. Moses didn't make it over the mountaintop, but he brought him to the mountaintop. If you get us to the World Cup and you say you want to retire, I respect you, sir. Get us to the World Cup, mate.
Dion Stavo. Dion Stavo.
Sir Dion Stavo.
Sir Dion Stavo.
You need Bermuda needs you, not the cricket board. Bermuda needs you, sir. So if some people can reach out to him, flood us, WhatsApp, Bermuda needs Sir Dion Stavo.
You heard it. Kelvin Blankendal, Executive Director, Bermuda Cricket Board. Cal, thanks so much. Hey, I'll be in touch over the weekend. Manchester United goes back at it, and we'll be rivalrous again in a couple weeks. Talk soon.
Next time, I'd like to bring on, we didn't discuss it because we talked a lot, but we also have women's cricket. So, Ms. Durham, next time we can have the representative of women's cricket because that's growing gradually and they need their own space. And inclusivity, Mr. Hartman, not just women's politics.
Indeed. We did have some questions about women's cricket as well, but talk soon, Mr. Blankendal.
Thank you.
A pleasure. Folks, if you appreciated the conversation today, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. It was a great conversation. Thank you, Distinct Apparel. It was a great conversation. We're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We have a cricket trivia question. If anyone gets the answer right before Sandra, you will get a prize.
That's going to be easy.
She said it, not me.
Ordering from ER Fisheries has just gotten simpler. With just a few clicks of a button, you can place an order for next day delivery or same day pickup. Our ever-expanding list of offerings now include grocery pantry items, specialty meats, and bread and dairy items. We know things have been hard, and we're here to make planning for your next meal or party easy. Whether you're a vegetarian or a meat eater, we have what you're looking for. And best of all, it can be delivered to your door in 24 hours or less. Go to www.erfisheries.bm and check out our wide range of seafood, beef, lamb, pork, poultry, fruits, vegetables, and plant-based products, all available at reasonable prices. That's www.erfisheries.bm.
Alrighty, welcome back. Thanks again to Kelvin Blankendal for the conversation today. That was short notice. I'm going to share something with you. I was in the airport. We were leaving. He was at the airport with the under-19 team. And Ashanta, who arranges the guests for the show, said, hey, we're rescheduling Thursday as guests. And Cal had, we were talking at the airport, and I just texted him once I landed. I said, hey, man, you want to come on Thursday, talk about the state of cricket? And it was that fast. So timely conversation. You know how much I love sport. And so thankful that he can make himself available. So again, if you appreciate the conversation, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Thanks again to the BAC group of companies, Medical House, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring we can have these conversations with you regularly. But It's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Sancha, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, it's a Name That Place. Audience, help her out. I know some of you are test match kings and queens in the audience. What country is former West Indies cricket legend Brian Lara from?
I don't even know who that is.
Sir President Richard Scott got the answer. He got the answer. It is Trinidad. So we will make sure.
Smart guy, right?
Well, I mean, someone did say that Antigua. Karen Edward Simmons said Antigua. But most people said Trinidad. But first that showed up on our screen was Richard Scott. So Richard Scott, please send us an email to engage@thedailyhour.com so that we can get you a travel mug with the Daily Hour travel mug ASAP. All right. So congratulations. Man, Somerset stays winning, huh?
Basically, I think, I sat here and I thought, I'm like, these are two very intelligent men that I'm sitting here with today. I don't understand why they're both St. George's. They're so smart. I don't understand.
Wow.
That's actually what went through my head.
Come on, St. George's people. You got to show up faster than. Come on now. Come on. Congratulations, Sir President. Let's wrap today's show up, though, Sancha. Final thoughts. You know my bias. I'm trying to do better now. I'm trying to do better next year. But let's wrap it up. Final thoughts. Obviously, we started with the opposition, then went straight into the state of cricket.
So speaking on the opposition, as I said, Bermuda is definitely lacking talent, political talent at this point. I mean, I don't want to get involved, so I don't know how me saying encouraging others to get involved sits, but we need to get more people in the room. There has to be an opposition in order for this government to run well. Right now, they're just doing whatever they want because there isn't a decent opposition. And I agree, like I said, with everything that you said about Ms. Jackson, but I don't know, it's a few pieces that are missing for me that I feel like our typical Black Bermudians are not going to respect it. So that's that for me. Speaking of cricket today, this is like my new little hobby, trying to get to know about cricket, the facts, the figures, all that sort of stuff. So I really enjoyed this conversation. I definitely enjoyed him breaking down, about the youth. It was important for me to understand, for Maddox's sake, my son Maddox's sake, where it's going and why things are the way that they are. So I'm happy for that. And hopefully he'll go back next season because he does love it, right?
There you go. As far as the opposition, I agree with what Sancha said. We need strong opposition to hold the government accountable. Is Susan Jackson the person to do it? Is it Jaren Richardson the person to do it from the leadership position? We don't know. What we do know is that regardless of who it is, they need to be a strong personality to go up against the ego of that leader and the PLP at this current time. As far as cricket, again, I grew up around cricket, grew up in a family where aunt attended test match. I love cricket. I'm not just the person who showed up for Eastern County and Cup match games. I went to my cousin's games. I was the kid in the change room that wanted to carry their bags, even though I couldn't lift them. For me, it is sad to see that cricket isn't what it once was, but I think a lot of stuff contributes to that. And I don't think this came up in the conversation, but there are so many people who have left Bermuda. So obviously that's going to impact the amount of young people that are playing cricket. It's a longer game. People have more to do during the day. So I think that plays a role. But my hope is that we can get the right amount of people, a good mix, where some clubs, maybe they form teams with other clubs and ensure that the game is still providing opportunities to young people who actually may need a way out. So thanks again to Cal. And again, if you appreciated the conversation, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Sancha, you got some daily inspiration for us?
I do. Daily inspiration is brought to you by ER Fisheries. It's not the will to win that matters. Everyone has that. It's the will to prepare to win that matters. and that's by Paul Bear Bryant.
I feel like that's a shot at St. George's. I just feel like, well, we did what we had to do. We prepared. You heard what you can't get. Somerset does it. What St. George's? I don't know. I feel like that was a little.
You know what? I actually feel like I'm in a transitional space right now in life. And when I saw that quote, I was like, you know what? This is such a great life quote. Like that preparation matters. So no, I mean, when you guys are going through, you feel it, right? So
Yeah. No, I got you.
Felt that one, right?
I did. Folks, don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. Sorry, I'm so stuffed up. For ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She is Sancha Durham. I'm Jamel Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are out. Peace.